line. I would take the Northwest Passage to find the hand of Franklin reaching for the Beaufort Sea, tracing one warm line through a land so wide and savage, and make a Northwest Passage to the sea. Westward from the Davis Strait 'tis there 'twas said to lie, the sea route to the Orient for which so many died, seeking gold and glory, leaving weathered, broken bones, and a long-forgotten, lonely cairn of stones.
Welcome, everyone. Yeah, I put that together recently to try and make it work, but there is some background to that story, and we're going to get into all that. But first, we'll start with the introductions. We'll start with the bottom row. Wayne, let's go. Let you go first.
Okay, so the name's Wayne. Jarvis Biker is my channel, and I live in Jarvis, Ontario, and I ride a 2021 Road Glide Limited, Gauntlet Gray in color, and I hang around with all these guys.
Kevin.
Hi. I'm Kevin, Superman Kev, 2001. I have an Electric Glide Classic, and yeah, I like to make some silly videos and talk to these guys and do this show.
Dave.
So hi everybody, I'm Dave. My channel is Harley's Diners Rides, and just like the name describes, I have a Harley 2007 Street Glide, which is sidelined right now, but waiting for the part to come in so I can put it back together. And we also have a 38-foot toy hauler, which we haul around the country, enjoying the beautiful countries that we have both north and south of the border. And I'm one of the Canadian guys here.
Yeah, and I'm Rob, and I laugh at Harleys because I ride a Victory, and so I have to be able to laugh because it's an orphan. And I'm out in Halifax, Nova Scotia. My channel is Dead Knot. And so now I get to take this opportunity to introduce someone I've known for a handful of years now, and I met him when he was on a charity ride. And I'd like to introduce Mike Terry from Dispatch's Adventure Ride.
Hey, everybody. Thank you. I wish I was that popular in high school. Yeah, as Rob said, my channel is Dispatch's Adventure Ride. So I'm definitely the odd man out here. I ride a 2018 KLR that just had a full engine job done on it, so I'm ready to get it out and get the break-in period done. And also got a when I'm feeling fancy, a 2019 Bolt. Yeah, so like Rob said, I run a speaking tour, motorcycle-based speaking tour across Canada, talking about living with PTSD, and that's how Rob came to know me in 2018.
Yeah. So you mentioned the KLR, and before we went live, you mentioned how the song was relevant to the name.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, that was Stan Rogers, and that song was Northwest Passage, which is, been regarded as the unofficial second national anthem of Canada. And there's one line in there where he references Henry Kelsey, who was the first man to chart the overland journey from the Hudson Bay to the prairies. And yeah, that's so my bike's name is Kelso because Stan Rogers didn't have Google, so he misnamed Kelsey in his lyrics, but he just decided to commit to it. So yeah, so that's why my bike's name is Kelso. That's my first time traveling overland across the entire country when I bought that bike. So I thought that was a good nod to some pretty deep-rooted Canadiana.
Cool. And before I ask the next question, I'm just going to go through the side chat and do some welcomes here because we've got a good crowd already starting off. Coastal Gypsies from Truro are there. Fun Chuck, good to see you again. Bry the Bikers here from down in the States. Richard from Edmonton. Mike, you probably remember him.
Indeed.
Shimoto Travels. He'll come up again later, as will Front Tire Adventures when we talk about some 2022 travels. Old Guy on a Bike, keeping Newfoundland present.
Yeah. Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Oh.
And scrolling through, that's a pretty good start. So I'm wearing one of the semi-limited edition shirts that I got from you last year. So the logo has meaning, and would you mind, mentioning what that meaning is?
Yeah, wow, really put me on the spot to see if I know my stuff tonight. So yeah, the logo is actually designed by a friend of mine.
I
And
sent you the notes.
yeah, you did. Did I fail to read that? So the logo. So I was a dispatch rider in the Canadian Armed Forces, and so I was a motorcycle messenger back in the days when we needed such things. And yeah, when the logo was designed, the tire kind of stands for the ability to travel anywhere in the absence of roads. So the KLR is good for that. The laurel wreaths, they symbolize victory. The shield symbolizes protection and security. And the raven is really kind of synonymous with being a messenger. Yeah, sorry, I'm doing a bad job of demonstrating. The raven, yeah, so the raven is a messenger, and credited with bringing light back to the world in a lot of Aboriginal cultures. So that was the idea of going out and speaking to people about living through PTSD and transition to civilian life, and it's really about coming back to the light. So that's the breakdown for the Dispatches logo.
Yeah, that was up on the social media a little while ago, and I thought that was really cool because I've thought about logos, and to have a logo with so much meaning, it's just pretty cool. As even Craig mentions, it's a cool logo. So, next question I kind of have is for the Canadian Guys panel. What would be, the longest road trip you've done? Mine's been like 10 days, 5,000 kilometers. So, Dave, what's been yours?
Probably a couple of years ago, we did a 5-state, 5-province, 14-day motorcycle trip, the wife and I, all through crossing over New York State, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and then New Brunswick, Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia. Yeah, we
Just mention the places you didn't go, Dave, and then we'll.
Yeah, and I'm probably leaving out one, right?
Yeah.
And the coolest thing about that one trip that I always remember is we got to they advertised it as the furthest east U.S. town, and that's Leduc, Maine. And there's an Irish pub there, and we stayed there overnight. And the next morning, we traveled over the bridge and came to the hut, which was the Canadian border. Right, and the customs there, and it was one guy in a hut,
in a phone booth,
and and then we island hopped, using the ferries there, island hopped back into New Brunswick. But that was probably very unexpected. A little treat there. One of the ferries dumped us off on the shore of an island, and we had to ride up the beach and before we could get to the road. So it was pretty unique, that. But yeah, that's the longest one, about 14 days.
Kevin?
Well, you know what? I've done a lot of weekend trips, but the longest trip I've ever taken was up to Thunder Bay and back. My problem was I retired in 2019 and I had bought my Harley to do some serious touring, and we all know what happened next.
Wayne?
Longest all at once road trip was straight through to Memphis from Jarvis, and then to Nashville, Arkansas the next day, and then back home through Indiana and Michigan. Longest time wise would have been an 8-day tour of Northern Ontario, first year of COVID, summertime. Was eight bikes, 8 days, and all up around. Where did we go? We went to the Manitoulin Island on the Chichimon. Got off, stayed overnight on the island, then we went to Thusselon, which is up towards Sault Ste. Marie. Then we doubled back to Timmins, Sudbury, made our way back down south. So 8 days. It was quite a
Aggressive run.
trip.
So in the chat, I see old guy on a bike, 32 days on the road, 22,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
So Mike, tell us about Dispatches 2018.
Dispatches 2018. So really, I just retired, and so I am affected by PTSD. Started to immediately notice some issues. So I did what any sane person would do. I bought a motorcycle and went all around Canada talking about life with PTSD, and that was 75 days, 27,000 kilometers. Wow. Obviously, stopping in a few places here and there, but 25 days or 75 days on the road, continuous. So all the way east up through Labrador, Northern Quebec, all the way up to Yellowknife, Whitehorse, and then back down the West Coast and back to Ontario. So it was a transformative experience, to be sure.
Yeah. And some of the interesting things is that some of the people we have in the side chat, like John at Front Tire Adventures, went to Tuck last summer, I believe on a V-Strom, if I remember correctly. I meant to look that up earlier. And he's got another trip planned this year that I'll mention later, because I'm sure there's going to be a few people in this chat you might run into. Because I'll mention John now, because he's retired Army as well.
We may have bumped into each other on social media here and there.
Yeah, probably, I imagine. So that's where I mentioned I met Mike, was 2018 when he was coming through Edmonton. I've kept in touch with him ever since. And that's why when social media was offering to sell shirts, I was more than willing to buy a shirt, because that's how you support these things. Do you have more shirts, Mike, or was it just the one run you did?
I was just kind of testing the waters with that one run. I'm just, so busy with all the other planning. So, if anybody's looking for a job and wants to run merch for me, I'm taking applications. Unfortunately, I haven't, I'm not wading into those waters again this year. It was pretty labor intensive.
Yeah. Most everyone I know who does that says the same thing.
Now, just on a side note there, Mike, you might want to talk to Craig over at Shushmoto, because he just finished putting up a merch store, right? Which allows people just to go in and buy the T-shirt, and you don't have to do that much maintenance. So that might be somebody to chat with, just to help you out there.
Yeah, for sure. I can. I'm sure we can connect.
I think most of those types of stores, you basically pick what you want and put your logo on it, and after that, it's
just like Teespring
itself.
Yeah, and then they drop ship it to wherever it needs to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Craig's in there, so I got his. There's Craig's shutout. There's the hat that I got from Craig.
Ever heard of this guy?
No, I don't. Who is that anyway? There's a spelling mistake in it, I think.
Is there?
Just no space.
And John did mention it was a V-Strom, 17,520 kilometers in 31 days. I see Craig has commented.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
And so I'll definitely, Craig, I can connect you guys by email and or cell phone after the fact. So definitely.
Just drop all Mike's links into the comments after. When it
I
goes.
did pin one with the website, and a couple of the social medias are all pinned on the chat.
Yeah.
I hope I did that right.
Yeah, I'm seeing them up there.
I'll check.
That's good. You know, first time running this, it's always like, okay, click. Where did I put that? Click. Yeah. Always.
Yeah, all the links are already there, Craig. So.
Yeah, it's pretty busy when you're running it.
Yeah.
I'm actually, my wife was laughing at me because I used to do a bunch of these, especially when it went into COVID, with because I was still in the military then, and we went through all the big move to Zoom and Teams and all these online meetings, and I was running a whole bunch of them, but I haven't done it in a long time. So, but yeah,
It's like juggling and carrying on a full conversation at the same time.
How's that go?
Yeah.
Or
rub your belly.
Yeah, I don't know. I would do that. Oh, Ron Hanna just popped in.
Here.
Yeah. Hey, Ron.
So the next topic I wanted to bring up was for the guys. Did anyone know about the Toronto Motorcycle Film Festival?
I did. Actually, I did know about that. I saw it, and then I thought to myself, but this is COVID. I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago. It was going to be in downtown Toronto.
Yeah, they went virtual and did all the online screenings of movies.
Oh, okay.
Which was kind of cool. But this is an intentional segue to talk about the fact that Mike will be the star of a documentary called The Messenger, which was the last photo of the intro. So want to talk about that, Mike?
Yeah, so I in 2019 or early 2020, I reached out to a documentary director named Patrice Berrio. He'd done some work on equine therapy on PTSD. So I just kind of said, hey, in 2020, I'm, ever the optimist. I'm going for this ride across Canada. I'm talking about PTSD and my experiences with transitioning to civilian life. Do you think that is a, something you might want to shoot as a documentary project? Do you think there might be a story there? So he decided, yeah, that was, that most certainly there was. And so we started working together, coming together with a plan for a documentary. It's very much his project. He's looking to explore the topic of, post-traumatic stress disorder for Canadians from all backgrounds. And I'm just kind of that common thread that they're going to travel with me across Canada and just travel where I go and see who they can connect with and talk to. And it's really all about, normalizing those conversations about mental health for all Canadians, not just veterans and first responders.
Yeah, and welcome Dry Rock Studios and the Military Biker into the side chat. Saw them pop in. Good timing. The Military Biker, Mike, is actually a recently retired British Armored. But he's in Alberta now. And so one of the things when I heard about that is Patrice had also done a video filmed in BC about the equine therapy called 10 Days. And that was filmed with Paul Nichols, who I can't remember the year and something else I forgot to look up.
2014.
Was it 2014?
Absolutely.
Okay. He did a horseback ride across Canada, or at least to Ottawa anyway, to bring awareness to PTSD. And I actually, again, went and met up with him in Alberta when he was coming through. And, bought his t-shirt because that's how you support, right? And so when you start seeing these kind of initiatives, and when I did get a chance to talk to Patrice about something else, he did mention that he's hoping that the Messenger, when it's completed, will get into something like the Toronto Motorcycle Film Festival. And so I think, that kind of visibility and having these kind of movies. And now here in Halifax, anyway, what we're starting to see is some of these indie films are doing special showings at some of the bigger movie theaters, because the bigger movie theaters are realizing there's not as much draw anymore. There's the big releases that aren't huge. And so it's kind of an opportunity for us to get these topics to visibility, but also, support the indie filmmakers, because I started looking around for other reasons and discovered there's actually quite a market of that small film studio doing great things. So that's
with so many of these platforms now, I think that there's other opportunities to show stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Mike, would you be able to use something like that and connect it to your YouTube channel or Facebook page?
So once the documentary is produced, I mean, he's going to. I'm sure it's going to go through its releases in the festival circuit and everything else. So I'm sure eventually I'll probably get my mitts on it once it's once it's kind of out there in the world. Now he did shoot a demo. We shot a demo in 2020 in Quebec. It's about 15 minutes long. It's on the webpage. It's on my YouTube channel. And he is actually, we shot one last year as well. We traveled together for about 20 days just in Quebec and Ontario. So he is feverishly trying to get that edited. So I'll have it to show at the motorcycle show next weekend. So so I'm bringing a screen with me. So, I mean, there won't be any sound, but he's probably, hunched over a computer right now, furiously trying to stitch that together. But yeah, it's definitely, he's been good about giving me photos and everything to use for the website. Some of the footage that's not going to be in the feature and everything else. So it's been a really good partnership. He's actually a really, really amazing guy to work with. Cares very deeply about the subject, which I think is what translates to the screen. So it's everything about it's been a great experience, other than having a camera stuck in my face all the time.
Well, now you talk about the camera, and so Patrice also on his website has some pretty impressive photos, but you're also a photographer as well.
Well, photographer is a pretty lofty term. I was a Canadian Armed Forces imagery technician. So I used a camera. I don't hasten to call myself a photographer because I never had to be good to feed myself, we'll say. But no, Patrice's still photography is absolutely amazing. And that was his focus before he started to move into filmmaking. So,
yeah. And for everyone's awareness, the links to Patrice are actually in the video description. So feel free to go check him out because, as I said, the photography is really nice. There's a trailer for the 10 Days movie there as well. And I think it's just amazing stuff. And I'm so happy that, these kind of things are gaining traction and momentum in our community. And Larry 68HD just showed up in the side chat. His recent video was actually at some bit of the Air Museum Park with some neat airplane stuff. So I thought that was cool. So now I'm going to bring up a topic that's very near and dear to Kevin's heart. So it's going to start talking about Bombshell Stellas, which features fairly prominently in your summer social media. Do you know if they have ice cream?
So I reached out to Heather Morris, who owns Bombshell Stellas, and she doesn't straight up serve ice cream. She does do a funnel cake that she'll pair with Kawartha dairy ice cream for certain, and she mixes it up often. But while it's not straight up ice cream, she'll dish it up in a way that will make your pancreas just tingle. So it's yes and no. Yeah, there's ice cream on offer. It just comes over some deep fried pancake batter.
That's great.
I didn't imagine there'd be a lot of complaints. I've had it. It's yeah, like right into insulin shock, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
There you go, Mike. You're going to get a T-shirt from Kevin that says "Ride motorcycles, love ice cream" or something. Oh, there he goes. He's going to show it to you. Or maybe he's gone for ice cream.
No.
Yeah, maybe he's on his way to.
I think he just got an idea and he left.
I don't think she's up and running yet, Kev.
No.
There you go. Here you go.
There you go.
You know,
Ride motorcycles, eat ice cream.
There you go.
Those are the best fitting T-shirts I own. Is one of those.
They fit better after an ice cream.
Yeah, mine all have stains on the front.
So, Kevin, do you want to tell the stories about the background behind that T-shirt or anything? Or is it pretty self-explanatory?
Well, you know what? It was kind of it started off just sort of a funny, jokey thing with Richard that I ride with the Canadian motorcycle cruisers. And we would always go out for ice cream on every one of our runs. And so I started doing my videos, and I go, "Hey, Richard, is this a motorcycle group or an ice cream eating group?" And he said that we're a motorcycle riding group with a ice cream addiction. So, and I ask him that pretty much on every one of our runs, and I've got a number of videos with him, and I always call him "Hey, Richard." So when I gave him a shirt, but his says "Hey, Richard" on the back. So that's what how the ice cream thing got started. And I've made I don't know how many videos about ice cream.
Noble pursuit.
Anyway.
So what I'm going to use this to transition to is Mike's just now making some clicks here. If I can do it right.
Click.
Because I
video.
Okay, no, sharing an image if I get it right.
Okay.
Share screen.
There you go. Technical difficulties.
And if this works.
More.
So Mike's been fairly aggressive in continuing his fundraising efforts. And so because we happen to have him here, and he did these, you guys might need an excuse to go for ice cream and a nice ride. I thought we'd talk about them here, and Mike can talk about the background behind a couple of these rides.
Yeah. So, well, Blue Mountain Bomber, and the other one we do is Bomb the Bruce. So it actually takes us up the Bruce Peninsula. Now, Rob, I've got to ask you, how PG do I need to keep this?
You don't.
Okay. So in the summer of 2019, Heather Morris, who owned Bombshell Stella's, reached out to me. She was a former photography student, actually, of mine, and she saw what I did in 2018. She runs Bombshell Stella's food truck in Owen Sound, and she said, I'd like to help you raise some funds. Why don't you come up for our grand opening? And so I went up like the May long weekend for the grand opening, and then at some point, we got to laughing and joking about, or actually I drew this map because I wanted to put a big penis picture on my social media and just kind of, put the hook in the water and see who bites. And, so that was it. It was the Bruce Peninsula. And, I expected a few, yeah, funny, Mike, until people started going, when are we doing it? So I got in touch with Heather from Bombshell Stella's and said, do you want to do a fundraiser? Do you want to run a ride? And we decided, she'd set up the food truck and put some food on offer, and we'd set up this group ride. So, in about 4 weeks we threw it together, and I think that first run we had about 65 people who came out for that ride, and then everybody liked it so much, we decided to do in September Blue Mountain Bomber, which went out through, obviously Blue Mountain, Creemore, which, fairly nice little stretch of road there. And, again, a big hit. And, so that's how those two rides were born. And they've kind of resided in those weekends, the middle of July and the second week of September ever since 2019. So,
Mhm.
They look like good rides.
Yeah.
well, because of the pandemic, in 2020, we were the first organized motorcycle ride in Ontario that was still running. Everybody else had canceled. And we had about 420 riders show up. And
Really? Wow.
yeah, we kind of expected, okay, 150, if we double how many people we had last time, that's great growth for, a second year event. And yeah, lo and behold, we had 420 show up. So Heather was busy trying to feed people, but yeah, everybody. So because of the gathering restrictions, we made it an all-day event. I go out and mark the route, and people just come in their small groups or in singles, and it's ride, ride at your own pace, ride with your own group. And that was actually really huge. Instead of doing the big group ride, people seem to really enjoy that. They can, people meet up with other folks, smaller groups kind of meld into bigger groups, and other people just get to ride with their friends and just enjoy the day.
Mhm.
And the self-directed route really gives people a chance to explore, things like ice cream stands. And if you go to the information map for the rides, we put in local restaurants, ice cream stands, all gas stations, all those things, because we want people to explore, Grey Bruce County, Simcoe County, and all the great things that are there to be experienced. So yeah, that ride, we drew people from Ottawa, from Kingston. So it was we've had a couple riders come from the States just for the ride. So it's they've been really successful events. We always enjoy putting them on. Fox Harley Davidson hosts us. Those guys have been amazing at just kind of supporting everything we've done. So it's been great.
Yeah, that scenic ride along Owen Sound Bay, and then over to
Lake Huron.
and along all the way over to Wyerton and up. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And it's the water's the big draw. But it's funny how many people do the Blue Mountain Bomber ride and are just they're amazed by that route. You've got these nice long open, long rolling hills, these stretches, and that's probably the route that people have always been more excited about the Bruce Peninsula. But when they come back after they've ridden them both, they're always kind of blown away by that Blue Mountain route.
Come up over those big hills and it just takes your breath away. Most of them.
There's some beautiful roads along there.
Yeah.
Well, so that was good. So 3 new participants next year or these upcoming?
It sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And Heather always puts on a great, amazing food for everybody too. So that's the food is what draws the event really together, I think.
Mhm.
Fun Chuck's talking about butter tarts.
I know. I see that. He wants to do a butter tart run.
Bellwood Lake.
Yeah.
My ancestral grandmother, her farm that she grew up on is under that lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Under the lake.
I guess
Yeah,
She forgot to take the plug out of the sink. That's what happened.
Call it when they take the land. And they gave them a house and a lot in Bellwood, and they
took it over.
They flooded it. They built a dam and they flooded it all out. That's where the lake came from. But her farm was underneath that. Just a little trivia.
There you go. Other little trivia. See behind me? That's the Schitt's Creek Motel. Just so you know.
We've been there.
Huh?
We've been up Schitt's Creek before.
These guys showed me where it was, and so there it is. It
was Dave's tour of the Badlands and those parts about. So.
Yeah.
And that's the hotel where they filmed Schitt's Creek.
Cool. Well, moving on now to the next comment that I have in my notes. 2022 rides. I might as well let Mike go first, and let's talk about Dispatches 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so first time since 2018, I'm going to be able to go all around the country again. Tried it in 2020. We all know what happened there. Kevin bought a motorcycle and kind of screwed it for everybody.
Yeah.
And 2021, I could have gotten away with doing it, but with the patchwork of restrictions, I wouldn't have been able to kind of get that outreach and that community engagement. That's really the biggest part of it. So had to put that on hold yet again until this year. So yeah, I depart the 27th of May from Southwestern Ontario, and I'm on the road till the 10th of September. Actually, the finishing event is Blue Mountain Bomber, and yeah, from what you can see from the screen there, those are all the stops I'll be making for speaking engagements as part of the speaking tour. And the map below, that's the route there in that beautiful magenta.
Wow.
So yeah, right up to Tuktoyaktuk. I'm a little John made it there before me, but I'll get there this year. And yeah, and honestly, that Labrador ride, I always say, it's too bad. It's almost, the Trans Labrador is almost completely paved now, so every jerk on a cruiser is going to be up there. But it was the west coast of Newfoundland, up through these places like Labrador and northern Quebec. It's kind of the big empty, same as the Northwest Territories. It is amazing to ride through those places.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, really excited to get back to Labrador and get back to the Dempster and Mackenzie highways. So
Wow. So Mike, I see you're going to be in Angus on July 12th. Is that base Borden or in Angus?
So that actually right now I've got to get the confirmation, but that should be at the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 499 in Angus that night. So when you go to the website, there's a calendar on there. There's also links to my Google map, which has all the route info right down to the coffee stops every day.
Wow.
So it's people are encouraged to come out, ride along as I'm passing through. I keep to my own schedule, but people are more than welcome to just join in and ride for a bit or join me at one of the coffee stops. And we don't always have to talk about PTSD. So it's just a good chance to to get out, meet Canadians, to experience Canada, to share my story, which obviously for me, every time I do that, it's very healing for me as well. So what better way to do it from the back of a good old big old single thumper.
Yeah.
Well, Mike,
Now,
how many kilometers is this trip going to be?
Based on the map estimate right now, it's probably about 29,000, but
wow.
I can expect, another probably 15% over that, just with, running to get groceries and all those other little side trips that happen. So yeah, it's going to be up over 30,000 kilometers.
Wow. So Mike, during this same time period, Craig, as I mentioned, Craig from Shushmoto, he's leaving Vancouver and going across Canada also. So the two of you are going to cross each other's path at some point in time and wave at each other.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Well, the route's up there. If he's passing along those roads. When I come back, when I head west across Canada, I'm heading north first.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I hit Winnipeg and then I start making my way north to Wainwright and Edmonton. So yeah, Craig, depending on where you're going to be, we can at least high five on the way.
He's going in a little bit more comfort though.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm going to tell you that. Say what you will, the KLR is pretty plush. And if you need any proof, just ask the guys I rode into Yellowknife with.
No, he might actually have a car and a trailer.
Oh
No, that's for his wife though. That's for his wife. I don't know.
It's the escort vehicle.
Yeah, so he's saying maybe between Edmonton and Yellowknife.
yeah.
Which itself, having done that ride myself, it's hard to explain to a lot of people. And I have some clips on one of my videos where I'm crossing the Détoncho Bridge, which they only opened in 2014. And, but, going down a long straight stretch of highway and there's a dot in the horizon in the middle of the road. And as you get closer, it's a bison that as I cruise by is running beside me. That's on, I think that clip is on the video titled The First 50,000 Kilometers. Because 2017, I went up for the Midnight Sun Rally to Yellowknife.
Wow.
Yeah.
Craig's going to do it on the Pan American.
Yeah, I see that. So Fox Harley Davidson was going to try and get me a Pan American to do the tour on last year, and it fell through because Harley, I guess, decided they didn't need to give up a press bike. They didn't need help selling them. We'll put it that way. So they didn't need me to use one of their bikes up completely in order to sell more. But and again, that's another, like Will at Fox Harley Davidson. Those guys are amazing. They've done incredible things for us. But looking back, I was kind of almost glad I didn't get the Pan Am, because that 650, I gotta say, keeps me humble. And a big thing is about the journey is not getting really wrapped up in the schedule or being in a big rush to get everywhere. And at the end of a day, when you start getting tired, if I had those 1200 cc's, you can guarantee I would be I'd be twisting the throttle on that. And a lot of that scenery that the 650 makes me appreciate would kind of go by in a blur. So it's definitely, the KLR is not the fastest bike to get you around the country, but you're going to get to see everything because it's not moving that fast.
How many kilometers do you have on it so far?
I just got over 52,000.
Wow.
And so I had an engine blow up last summer. I'm not sure what happened to it. The entire thing disintegrated though. So I bought a 2009 and had that. I swapped the engine out a day before the ride that I did last year. And the 09s they're horrible for oil consumption. I was literally putting in, half a liter of oil every day and just hoping it didn't blow up. So in September, I dropped the bike off at Dual Sport Plus, and I had them do a tear down and a whole new top end in it. And yeah, so it's all, it is optimized now for touring. I got a carb upgrade in it, some machining done to the head to make everything more efficient. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting that bike out on the road this year.
Mm-hmm.
And John is saying he didn't make it to Tuck.
Oh no?
No. Said
It was closed, he said.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering how he managed to get through. I didn't know if he, because if I'm not mistaken, I think John's ex-airborne, so I thought maybe he did some really sneaky stuff to get in there. I wasn't going to challenge him on it here, but yeah. So, well, you know what? I'm sorry, John, but I'm glad. I don't feel so left out now. So there's that.
But Craig might, if he's going north first and going to meet you in the Edmonton area, he may have gotten there before you.
Yeah, he may well have gotten there before me. That's okay. I don't have to be first.
Well, at least then, meet up and you get a good road report. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Although I got to say, with that KLR, it doesn't matter. I'm going anyway. So
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to tie in with any of these iron butt things for number of miles, and you're going to try and work that in?
No, so my schedule and that route has been set since September of last year. So that's my planning cycle starts first thing in the fall. And then from there, I'm working on fundraising and booking all the outreach locations. So yeah, I never had a chance to look at what everybody else is doing in order to try and tie them in. I was lucky a couple years in a row, actually in 2018, my ride meshed up with, the Rolling Barrage in when they were in Calgary.
Yeah.
And then in 2019, we did a ride around the St. Lawrence Seaway, and we meshed up again with the Rolling Barrage when they were in Charlottetown.
Charlottetown, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, this year they arrive in Burnaby on the 20th of August, and I think that's the day I'm in Comox on the island in Victoria or on Vancouver Island. So yeah, we're not going to meet up with them. And I've got to be honest, I haven't checked in with anybody else, so I'm not sure. I'll just kind of leave it to chance to see who I run into. That seems to be working out well so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that becomes a challenge of when you start amending your schedule to meet everyone else's. You just can't, or everything just goes exponentially longer.
Right. Good point.
Yeah, especially over 108 days and having very specific, trying to book events in 30 places across Canada. it's really, there's no flexibility in the schedule. I mean, there's a little bit of flexibility built in, but yeah, if I tried to mesh with everybody else, I'd be changing it right up to the date of departure, and just.
But even if you didn't change it, or didn't change it last minute, but tried to plan in to meet up with other people, you'd be at, over time, if you only added 10%,
yeah,
that's still another couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just kind of hit that point where you got to go and make the plan work. So that's always a planning challenge for big events, because I know with the Rolling Barrage, trying to plan, essentially 20-day ride to go across Canada, but everybody says, oh, come by here, come by there. Yeah, we want to go to Newfoundland, but that's a 3-day component. A day to get on, a day there, a day to get off. So when you start adding some of those days, you have to really be creative. And I was actually talking with a guy today, and we came up with an idea of how to massage a schedule to do something different, where we get a different start point that gets you a different route and is a bit more efficient. Because when you're trying to put down a 10,000 kilometer ride, you just can't do it all.
I just wonder, logistically wise, how do you fit in like service and maybe a breakdown, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I mean, I do have a few flex days put into the schedule. Yeah, that's that 23 years of military experience and planning, patrols and things like that in places like Afghanistan. You get a good head for factoring all those things in. And yeah, I don't have my planning sheet here, but my planning sheet is a fairly extensive document. So I've got route, everything from time of day, because I want to know how many daylight hours I have. I try to avoid, so it's risk management as well. I try not to ride at night. Not because I'm scared to ride at night, but it's just, the more time you spend on the road, the higher those chances go of incidents happening. So I try to minimize those. And then I've got my outreach schedule that I've got to do. And then I've got my fundraising approach that I have to do. So it's factoring all those things in. So on the route planning sheet, my maintenance intervals are written right in there next to the estimated kilometers. So I have an idea of roughly where I'm going to hit oil changes, tire changes. Because supply chain's been an issue with the current state of the world, all my tires are already ordered. They're already sitting at Dual Sport Plus. So so now I don't have to play the mix match tire game. I know I'm going to be running the same tires the whole way. When I need them a few days out, I call Dual Sport Plus and they're going to ship them where I need them. So, yeah, so it's, COVID has certainly put a wrinkle into all that planning. But yeah, it's that's all thought out. That's why it's done in September. So there's lots of time to work that out. But the route and the schedule, the travel schedule, that's about 60 hours of work, throwing that together for the 108 days. That's about probably, about a week and a half of working away at that before it was done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of planning, I would think, for sure.
So you mentioned not riding at night, but just kind of jogged my thoughts a bit. And so on the last ride, were there any incidents?
You know what? There were a few close calls with other drivers, but very few though for the number of miles that I did. You know what? I think the only morning or the only time I spent any time driving in the dark was when I went to do the Cabot Trail, because I left from Truro at about 3 a.m. because I wanted to get to the Cabot Trail at about 6 or 7 before everybody in an RV got on there. So I'm trying to think. I got chased by a bear in Labrador when I got off the boat. I had a close-ish call with a moose in outside of Gander.
That'd be the one that Dave didn't video.
Yeah, take your cap off.
I did, guys, listen, get it straight. I did video it. I just forgot to take the lens cap off. So it is still in audio. Let me tell you, it's still in audio.
I think the closest call I had.
Dave, it's just not the same. You scream like a little girl doesn't do it.
You got to put some cartoons to it, animate it.
Okay, yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle.
I think the closest call I had was actually in the Fraser River Valley, going up Highway 1 in BC, and it was a bighorn sheep. And a buddy of mine had told me, he said, they will stand right next to the road in an open field and you will not see them just because of the way they're colored. And I was like, okay, sure. And I tell you, that thing was no more than 5 feet in front of me, and I didn't see it sitting by the side of the road until it darted straight across in front of me. Wow. And that footage is somewhere. I have 30 hours of footage at least from that ride that I have to scrub through, and I've not been able to find that one clip where that that bighorn sheep does that. So that was probably the closest out of the entire ride. I mean, again, the KLR, you're not going that fast. You got lots of lead time for most things. So, and I ride pretty defensively. Like I said, that spending up.
If you're on the bike for that amount of time and through the days and days and days, you get to be one with that machine, and you're pretty much on the ball. Like you're not. It's not where you're lackadaisically riding that bike anymore. You're like part of it by then.
Yeah. And I mean, the training we got as dispatch riders, was pretty, military defensive driving, everything else. It was, I came up good. I'd never ridden a bike before I got that training. So I was kind of a blank slate and, really was able to take all that on board. It was a great opportunity, basically as a military member, they're saying, okay, you're going to go to Borden and you're going to ride a dirt bike for a month. Like,
sign me up.
I actually asked for that course.
Yeah.
I asked for the course and got told no.
Yeah. So that was the thing, so in the military, the big thing was, somebody would walk into a room full of guys and say, who wants their motorcycle course? And everybody threw their hand up would end up mopping the floor or, mucking out the toilets or something, because that's how they got people to volunteer for jobs nobody wanted to do. So one day my platoon warrant walks into the platoon room and says, who wants their motorcycle course? And I'm like, yeah, I'll roll the dice. Sure. And next thing you know, I was on my way to ride a bike for a month in Borden. So
what bikes do they use? What do they use?
We used, it was called the M1030, which was a modified 1995 KLR 250. Okay. So a big honking machine that was. But yeah, that was the last dispatch bike that was in service. The dispatch rider program in the regular force ended, I want to say 2002. So, it's just, nobody wants to ride a dirt bike around Afghanistan. It's, so, and encrypted communications meant we didn't need people to run paper messages anymore, which was the primary job of the dispatch rider. So yeah, the position kind of became obsolete.
Where were you stationed while you were a dispatch rider?
I was in Gagetown, New Brunswick, with 2nd Battalion, the Royal Canadian Regiment. So, and to be honest, the bikes were pretty short-lived after I was qualified, and most of my time was spent in an Iltis, in a Jeep. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Mike, just a quick question for your 2018 ride. What did you do for the long miles? Did you just think about different things, or did you listen to music, or how did you entertain yourself or occupy yourself for that long ride?
Well, that was right in the midst of the beginning of transition out of the forces. And I mean, I joined at 18. By the time I was 24, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder after 2 back-to-back operational tours. And I continued to serve another 17 years after that. So when I left the military, I had a lot of things to unpack. So yeah, those long miles really, it's a couple things, I'm going out and I'm talking about what I'm experiencing. So I'm having to confront it. I'm talking to other people about their experiences. So I have a chance to kind of take those things on and reflect on those things. And then the miles in between really gave me the chance to reflect. And I think, like everybody here knows, when you get behind the bars, you're your mind's engaged in what you're doing, but it can generate a lot of good reflective thought. And, you know, it's that mix of life slowing down enough for me to look around and actually appreciate what I was seeing. But it's also life slowing down enough for me to kind of reflect on my own thoughts and feelings. So it's a bit of both. Yeah, I'll listen to a lot of music, but there's a lot of times that I'll ride without any music at all and just kind of immerse myself in that. It really depends kind of on how I'm feeling at the time.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So that's actually a great segue to talk about Project Enlist, which is something you're advocating for, and I'd like to get you to talk about that for a bit.
Yeah. So Project Enlist is actually it's a project under the Concussion Legacy Foundation of Canada. If anybody here is familiar with the movie Concussion that Will Smith was in, it's about professional football players in the States and degenerative brain disease from taking a lot of, taking hits to the head. So Project Enlist is a military focused research study, and it's about making the connection between military service and the physical impacts on the brain. And what they're finding is, firing all these heavy weapons, bouncing around the back of armored personnel carriers, flying in helicopters and aircraft, it puts it actually gives you exposure to multiple subconcussive events, sometimes for very long periods of time, and it can actually lead to this degenerative brain disease called chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Sorry, I always trip over that one. But it's basically a protein that builds up in the brain where it's taking these impacts and it starts to kill the brain tissue. And the symptoms.
I've actually heard of that, but it was due to the mining industry, rough machinery underground. Yeah.
Yep. Anything that really jars your head over long periods of time. And they're finding it pops up, they're finding it in football players who had these long careers, but then they started to discover it in kids who are involved in sports, soccer. Kids taking headers all day practicing is leading to these are subconcussive events that lead to this can lead to this brain disease. So I'd never had a concussion, I'd never been diagnosed with one, never had a traumatic brain injury, but spent a lot of time around heavy weapons. Riding a motorcycle as a dispatch rider, I got my bell rung a couple times doing that. I had an instructor tell me, if you look down at the sand, you'll actually pick the place your head hits. And he was right. And that sand is a lot harder at 40 kilometers an hour than you would think. But unarmed combat, rappelling, all those things. So yeah, it's really, and the big thing is, you've got a lot of veterans who are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, or operational stress injury, who should be also diagnosed with a brain injury, or maybe it is a brain injury. And while the symptoms are the same, the treatments are very different. So it's about driving that awareness so people are getting the right treatment to address the issues they have, and also mitigating the injuries, like driving that awareness as well.
Excellent. I'm glad we got the chance to work that in.
Yeah.
So just a quick question. So you were saying for people to sign up. So are you advocating ex-military or veterans to be part of the study?
Yes. So the aim of Project Enlist is to get veterans to pledge their brain to be examined upon their, in autopsy. And that's right now is the only way to diagnose CTE is it through autopsy. So actually CAMH is working on being able to diagnose it in living brain, and they've partnered with Concussion Legacy Foundation on that. So yeah, any veteran, regardless of background, regardless of trade or when they served, if they're still serving, we're asking them to sign up for Project Enlist, and you're pledging to donate your brain. It doesn't mean your brain will be selected for the study. But thanks for bringing that up, Dave, because just recently it's actually opened up. Anybody can pledge their brain. So any civilian who wants to show their support for brain injury within the forces can sign up for Project Enlist. Your brain won't be selected for study, but the pledge actually, it helps to show the support and the need for this research. So yeah, I encourage anybody, if you're so inclined, go to projectenlist.ca and sign up to pledge your brain to the project, and it's really about showing the support for our military members who are experiencing brain injury.
So let's talk about the motorcycle show.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because no one's had a motorcycle show like in forever. And so you guys get one where
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
So before we get Dave and Mike talking about where they'll be parked, Wayne, Kevin, how excited are you guys? You going to be going?
I'm going.
I'm not.
If you want to, Rob, if you want to share my screen, I've got the advertisement for the show.
Share your screen. Oh, goody.
Yeah, no, he gets to be on the spot.
Down there. Down there.
Did you put the video there for him to see?
Yep. Do you see it, Rob? In the
Down where everybody's face is down below.
Yeah, I'm just. Oh, there it is. Okay. Just took me
There
a
you
while to find it because I'm have this set up on my small screen, but I have YouTube going on the big screen, so I had to do a bunch of scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big one.
So I
I'll be
imagine it is going to be, it's going to be a shock after all these months of isolation and, and being able, like, I went out to the store today, not because I needed to, but just because today was the first day I was allowed to show my face in public. And I was starting to really feel self-conscious about the fact that people wanted me to cover up so much. So it's going to be a bit of culture shock come Friday.
Yeah, today was the first day here without masks.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like, social media is kind of blowing up because some people are still wearing it. Some people are ridiculing them for it. It's a bit of an ugly scene out there. So, this weekend I have a lacrosse game at the Scotiabank Center that's now allowed full capacity, no masks, no restrictions. And I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least there's nobody in that arena with violent tendencies. I mean, lacrosse.
Yeah, I mean that's
Played the game, have you?
Yeah, well, you know what? So as Rob was saying, I dabbled in photography before, and I ended up shooting junior lacrosse up in Barrie, and I mean junior. These kids are like 4 years old, and little savages. They're just like they're going at each other. So it's.
They're also made of rubber. They bounce really well.
Oh yeah, they just. So it's lacrosse. That'll be emotionally charged to say the least.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
so looking forward to the show.
Yeah, and actually, it's a good time for the show. The show originally would have been the first weekend of January, and it was canceled because that was when we went through the Omicron, and then they immediately rescheduled it for end of March, and this is going to be the only bike show this spring because the spring bike show was canceled.
Like, this is the only bike show like in Canada.
Is that
in the
right?
last 3 years?
Mm.
Wow. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. That's for
It's
sure.
probably going to be busy. Yeah, I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be in.
Oh, I know. You're doing this.
You're road tripping, yeah.
I'm going to Memphis.
Yeah.
And so, Dave, you're at the show. Tell people what you're doing.
So our Harley Owners Group, or HOG, from York Region, we are splitting a booth with our dealer, which is Pfaff Harley Davidson. We've got a 30 by 30 booth. The dealership's going to take most of that. We're going to get a bit of a booth, a 10 by 20 booth, and we're just going to raise awareness of the club. It's been we've really gone through a change. Prior to COVID, our membership was up and around 120 riders. And right now, through 2 years of non-riding, we're down to about 50 riders that have maintained their membership and being active. So we're hoping to meet some new riders and invite them out for a ride with friends and see if we can't increase our numbers again.
Ron Hanna says he's going to be there. He said he'd be wearing black.
Oh yeah.
You're the only guy.
I have to tell you a story on that. Rob, do I have time for a story?
Of course, you have time for a story.
Okay.
That's the best
So we
part
have-
of this is when we degrade the stories.
So we have an event called Friday the 13th in Port Dover. Wayne
No
and
one's
Kevin.
heard of that.
It's out my back door. It's in
So-
my backyard.
So there's a group of us. We're there on a July hot, sunny day, no rain, which is a treat when you go to Dover. And one of my friends is behind me, and we're walking along, and he keeps saying this. Excuse me, I'm looking for my friend. He came here on a motorcycle. He's wearing black. Have you seen him? And there would be a pause, and then he'd say it again, right? Hello, I'm looking for my friend. He came here on a motorcycle. He's wearing black. Have you seen him? And he said it 3, 4, maybe 5 times. And then all of a sudden, there's this big monster of a guy in front of us. And I guess he had enough because he turned around and he looked down at him, and he said, I think that's enough. He didn't say it again.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's the Port Dover story.
See you later, Craig. Looks
Bye,
like
Craig.
Dry Rock might be heading out too. But yeah, that's like same thing. When you're at a big bike event. Oh, which one's yours? Oh, the Black Street Glide. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
That's
glad
why-
I still have a victory because now I'm standing out even more.
Yeah.
That's why I did not buy a black bike.
Yeah. Me too.
It's black cherry, but it's not a black bike.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay. So, Mike, you're going to be at the show as well, and I'm popping up. This is your new location.
Yeah.
Hopefully, people can see that. Let's see if I can make it without distorting too much. So, where did you say you were, Dave? You knew the number, right?
I
Which
believe
room are you in?
I'm in the hall. So 20, I thought it was 2228, I think, or 2248. One of the, I have to look. Don't worry. I'll be right back. I'll look for it.
Okay, 2246
Right there.
is 20 by 20.
2238 is 30 by 40 or 20 by 40. Is
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
So this big one, 20 by 48, I think that's Durham Harley or Mississauga Harley, one of the two.
Yeah.
They've got a huge display.
So they just put my little KLR in amongst all the Harleys, did they?
So
Awesome.
so we're in the same, Mike, we're in the same hall.
Yeah, so it's Hall 2, Ron. They're in Hall 2.
I was just glad they put me close to the snack bar. That was
Priorities, right?
priorities. Exactly.
have your priorities right.
Kevin will let you know where the ice cream is when he comes by.
Yeah, for sure.
Little Pizza Hut and a cold beer is all you need, guys.
Yeah, I always enjoy this show. There's always so many things to see, and I always end up figuring that I'm not going to buy anything, and then I come home with this big bill.
That's motorcycle shows. There's never really any good deals, but you feel like you should buy something.
That's right. Yeah,
If you want a deal, you got to wait till they're packing all the stuff up in the box, and that's when you hit them, and you just hold out the cash and go, "I'll take that." And
Well,
I'll give
when you
this
said
much.
hit him, I thought that meant you got to take the box.
No,
I have seen some.
I'll help carry this out.
I
Sure.
got a leather coat once for half price. I just did.
Ah.
I told the guy, I said, "No, too much," and then I come back right at the end. He was starting to pull the hangers down off the racks, and I said, "Here." He pulled it off the hanger and handed it to me. I gave him the cash, and I walked out with my new coat.
It
So
was,
it's just like moving when you decide, do I want to pack this or am I going to put it at the curb?
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, we were there at the end on the Sunday or whatever, and there was a guy. They were selling helmets, and they had pocket bikes, and they were if you bought he said, "I'll tell you what, you spend $100 on this helmet, I'll give you the pocket bike." And I said no. what the heck was I going to do with a pocket bike? I was driving a
Mm.
itty bitty little car, you know, Honda Civic.
Yeah.
I'm a little big for a pocket bike.
Yeah. So
That
Rob,
would make a funny video.
It would.
Yeah. so
Just
so
saying,
Rob,
opportunity.
Kind of like the tricycle on Laugh-In.
Yeah.
yeah, raincoat.
True.
Well,
My,
that's all my official topics.
that's all
Any,
your
any
great.
reattacks, shout outs, things we want to do?
Sounds great. Well, I'm looking forward to this Saturday going to the bike show, and I'm going to be making a video and posting. I posted a video for the first time in a long time today about my first ride, and it was so good. You know, you were talking about that, Mike, earlier about how good riding and how that is for the mental health. And I can tell you, you know, we had that one day when it was 17 degrees. I went out for only a 30-minute ride, and I was like buzzing from that ride
Mhm.
the rest of the evening, you know, just to get out on the bike and get out and actually feel what that feels like. It's been so long. Like it just seems like we have been inside at home, you know, watching snowstorm after snowstorm this year,
Hmm.
you know. So
And
it was,
some doctor telling us we can't do anything.
yeah, I know.
Mm.
And you can't, like, we I don't know, we haven't been going to restaurants or anything because you couldn't, you know, so it's like yeah,
By the way, how's Monica?
better.
Good.
Yes, she's
Good.
better. Oh man, I'll tell you, this has been a heck of a winter. We've had so much snow. I know everybody's been feeling that way. So the bike show is going to be a really, really good thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, really
This-
looking forward
This
to
will be my first. I think I went to one. I might have gone for an hour or two a few years ago. But this will be my first time being there as having a booth in the show. So it'll be interesting to see how it to see how it goes.
Mhm.
See how many of the Harley folks turn their nose up at my
Oh no,
poor little metric bike there.
It's
No,
a
it's
motorcycle show, and this is
I don't think so, Mike. I think they're going to be more interested in the story and who you are than what you ride.
Yeah, it's all about the story.
Yeah.
Like John just mentioned in the side chat, you know, he's got his broken ankle now. You know, well, he shouldn't have been trying to do those backflips this early in the season, is all I'm saying. You know, because I'm not sure if his bike and the terrain was really prepared for backflips on a bike. You know, just it's all about the story.
we're not 21 anymore, you know.
Yeah. All he needed to do is the top of the cast needs to be flat, so it slides under the shifter. That's
shave it.
Carve a little notch in it. Yeah.
yeah. There you go. Right.
But,
Wayne, any reattacks or anything you want to bring up?
Well, we're leaving Saturday morning, Linda and I, with our toy hauler and the Harley, and we are going to Memphis. The first night we are stopping at a Harvest Host on the way in Kentucky. And just in the back of my mind, I was thinking that Kobe Northern is from that area. So I texted him tonight, and he's 15 minutes away from where we're staying.
Wow.
So we've kind of tentative plans to have a little visit while we're there that night. So looking forward to that. And then Memphis Mike's waiting for me to get to Memphis, and hopefully he'll be able to show me a couple of roads while we're there. We're going to stay most of the week. Then I've kind of got a tentative plan of heading towards Chattanooga, and hopefully we can hook up maybe for a little bit with Ty from Tennessee. We'll see. Depends on the roads going that way if I want to try the hills of Tennessee with the new RV, and if I don't get too chicken on the way. So we'll see how it turns out. So and then we'll be back when she says she's had enough and wants to come home. So I'm hoping she never says that. So
At least until golf season starts.
coming soon. But
Yeah, I haven't
That's
had a
it
chance
for
to
me
go.
for this week. Anyway, coming up.
Dave, anything you want to add?
Well, I mean, I'm still waiting for parts to come in for my bike. So luckily, I think tomorrow it's going to rain for 4 days, and then a little bit of snow and mucky weather for the rest of the month. So hopefully, by the time that the sun shines again, I'll have my parts and get the bike back together, and maybe I'll even give it a wash.
I was going to say, give it a little shine while you're at it.
Well, it's got to
See
get one
Kevin's
year.
video today. He cleaned under the bags and that when he had them off.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm going to bring
It
it
was
down.
kind of a how-to video.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, it's a running joke about my bike being a little dusty right here.
Oh, brother,
We
you
were
and me
we were
both.
on a group ride and Kevin started cleaning Dave's bike.
It was dirty.
No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. But so, Mike, a quick question. Are you going to be selling anything at the booth? Any merch or anything?
No, so it's just there for the awareness. I mean, people are always free to donate if they want. But I'll be there just to talk about the ride, talk about Project Enlist if anybody wants to talk about that. Hopefully, I'll have a new short documentary to show you. If not, it'll be the one we currently have. Yeah, and it's just about getting out there and connecting with the community. It's been kind of 3 years of planning to get to a ride that I could actually do. So it's really good to be able to get out and actually get face to face with folks. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And just connecting with, what, it's always great to talk bikes with people. I'm not a big gearhead, so, but it's about the experience for me and, and hearing where everybody else has been. There's going to be a big map of Canada behind me. So, I'm sure there's going to be lots of great stories from the folks who come by. So that's what I have on offer for this time around.
Just a logistics question. When you go on this big long ride, are you putting some kind of a cushion or something on your seat?
Yeah, it's called my ass. It's pretty plump.
Your ass. You're not putting a air seat or anything on there.
No, you know what? I think 23 years in the Army just taught me how to enjoy suffering. So it just feels normal. I think there. I did the first ride in 2018 with a factory seat. There's an aftermarket seat on there now that came from the parts bike I bought.
Kevin's got the secret.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Well, I always wear those bicycle shorts underneath my jeans, and because they got the
gel
pads,
the chamois.
It really does help.
And gives them a nice shape too.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very.
You need a couple of AA batteries for it too.
Yeah.
No, don't give away all the secrets.
Yeah, you know what? After the first week, you kind of get trail tough, and you just don't even notice anymore.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be a long trip on a hard old TLR seat.
You know what? Yeah, it's not so bad. It's not so bad at all.
Says the man with the hard ass.
Yeah, but with that bike, it's easy to stand up too, right?
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
You can
Stretch
and
super easy to stand up. And I mean, so all my timing is done so that every monkey butt. For those of us who know what monkey butt is, when I do my planning, it's always, every 2 to 3 hours, I plan a half-hour stop. So I'm off the bike, I'm stretching out, and so I manage those intervals as well.
What's the range on that thing? Just out of curiosity.
With the main, the reserve, and the Rotopax that's on the back of it, about 750 kilometers.
Oh, that's a long way.
Yeah. So I've only the only time I've ever really used it was the Trans Labrador from Port Hope Simpson to Goose Bay, and even then I could probably get by with I could probably make it all the way on the reserve, but I usually stop and top it up just because I'm stopping anyway. So, but yeah, once I get on the road to Tuktoyaktuk, definitely I'll be glad to have that extra fuel on the back. With the the piston and the head, everything else that's been done to it, and the carb upgrade. I'm hoping that fuel mileage is going to be a little bit better this time around, but we'll see. Yeah.
So, Mike, do you have any saved round or reattacks at shout outs you want to do?
No, you know what? I think we've covered Dual Sport Plus, Project Enlist, Bombshell Stellas, the good folks at Harley Davidson, Fox Harley Davidson. Well, here, yeah, the Royal Canadian Regiment Foundation has come, has supported the ride. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for me, Rob.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, Road Rash just showed up, just in time for us to say we're pretty much wrapping up.
Yeah.
And so thanks everyone for coming and letting us share Mike and his story and Dispatch's adventure ride with you, as well as everything that entails with the Messenger documentary, Project Enlist, his epic route, 108 days and probably 30,000 plus kilometers. Keep an eye out for him in the on the roads near you. I know if I'm still in the Maritimes in June, I will pop in and harass him a bunch of times, and try and help out where I can, and ride with him for a bit. So I see everyone's checking out. So if there's no further reattacks,
hang on here. So we should just acknowledge and thank all of you gentlemen for your service. You two gentlemen here in the panel and those in the side chat that have served. We appreciate you very much, and we want to thank you for that service. And Rob, thank you for coming out and doing this with us. And I think I can speak for the rest of the Canadian guys that you're welcome here every night if you want.
well, thanks. Glad to be invited to be.
You did a good job, and thank you for doing it.
And to answer Dry Rock Studios, link in the description to his website, and it's all in there.
Right.
I've actually got. I'll say, Wayne, thank you so much for that. That chance to serve has really been my honor. So thank you for that, and thank you all for having me here tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
It's a good cause. It needs to be advertised as much as possible.
So I threw the link to the Google map up there. That's probably the easiest place to get all the route info and everything there. So if anybody wants to check that out. Yeah.
Mike, do you have any advertisement or anything like that you could share with us so we could throw it up on our Facebook pages and that?
Everything's kind of on the Dispatches Adventure Ride Facebook page.
Okay.
So the cover photo is actually the photo of the speaking tour dates and the map, and then the links to the Google map. It's all over the website. There's also there's a GPS tracker on the website, so when I am on the road every 5 minutes, people can find me, so they can come and join in. So if if you want to poke around there, but if not, I can certainly send you any of the info that I'm sure Rob has all your contact info. I can send that to you, Dave, for sure.
There's a whole bunch of links in this video description. There's links to everything. So
there's a Canadian ton of stuff on that.
Mike, I'll stop by the booth at the show there.
Yeah, please do. It'd be good to see you. If it's not me, there's two other ugly bearded guys who are going to be manning the booth at some point. So I don't have a schedule, but yeah, for sure. Hopefully I'll see you there. If not, I'm sure I'll bump into Dave at some point through the event.
Yeah, definitely have a coffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think
or something.
Next Monday, the plan is Wayne's.
Is it going to be me or who's anybody else?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah,
Sure, I'll do it.
All right.
I'll do
Okay,
it.
so next week, Kevin's house.
My house.
I'll
Thanks,
stop
everyone in the
by.
side
I don't
chat.
know if I'll be on for the whole show, but I'll stop by.
Sure.
You'll be traveling.
Yeah, I'll be down.
You're a
Depends
roving
on
reporter.
how I hook up to the internet.
So he'll be sitting there, shorts, lawn chair, drink with an umbrella on a laptop under an arm.
He'll be pulling an Al Bundy.
with the Harley sitting behind me in the sunshine.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Okay, so
All
thanks
right.
everyone in the side chat. We'll end the broadcast here and see you all next week. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye bye.